All right, let's dive into this architectural blueprint for your mind. Welcome to this explainer of Gary Mock's incredible book, Mind Gym. Think about this for a second. We are constantly operating in these hyper-intense Indian corporate offices and cutthroat startup environments, right? And when we want to get physically fit, we hit a physical gym, lift heavy weights, and sweat it out. When we want to upgrade a business skill, we'll spend months obsessing over external dashboards, optimizing data formats, and automating the whole shebang. But why do we almost entirely ignore the internal cognitive hardware that actually dictates our success? So today, I'm putting on my cognitive conditioning coach and venture architect hat. We are going to upgrade your mental operating system from the ground up. To build you into a completely Teflon-coated execution machine, we're going to methodically install 3 operational pillars: internal grounding, tactical execution, and the emotional shield. After that, we'll deploy them directly into the hyper-competitive market realities we face every day. Let's get right into it. Okay, section 1, the mental OS failure. Let's look at exactly why our internal systems crash when the pressure gets dialed up. Gary Mack is a world-class sports psychologist. He's worked with absolute top-tier NBA and Olympic athletes, and he reveals a pretty brutal truth here. Success is 90% mental, and honestly, the remaining 10%? Yeah, that's in your head too. Think about it. You could literally spend 6 months, day and night, building the absolute perfect CRM setup or prepping for those elite, intensely competitive academic exams. Your preparation is flawless on paper. But the very second you step into that VC investor pitch or face a critical client verification call, your mind completely freezes. Your heart is hammering, and you choke. Mack points out this isn't a failure of your capability. Not at all. It's a failing of your mental operating system. I mean, your highly customized CRM is utterly useless if your mental OS crashes under pressure just because you haven't deliberately trained your mind like a muscle to withstand a corporate crisis. Moving right along to our first structural upgrade, Pillar 1, internal grounding. This is all about establishing the absolute internal accountability you need before facing any external chaos. Early on in the book, Mack introduces this incredibly powerful exercise called the mirror test protocol. Now, I want you to ask yourself this. When you wake up and look at the person in the mirror, do you 100% trust them? Like, do you know deep down in your gut that you put in an honest effort yesterday for your peak performance goals? Listen, high performance does not come from external validation or a pat on the back. It comes from having an incredibly high internal accountability score. If you can literally look in the mirror and verify you're fully prepared, completely independent of what anyone else thinks, I promise you, no internet troll or aggressive competitor can ever bring you down. Now, to actually pass that mirror test, you've got to protect your energy. In our fast-paced startup ecosystems, professionals are constantly bleeding cognitive bandwidth on things they literally cannot change. I'm talking about sudden regulatory policies, crazy algorithm changes, market dips, or even just a client's temporary bad mood. Look, your brain's cognitive storage is limited. You have to ruthlessly drop these uncontrollable market parameters. Instead, lock your absolute laser focus on controllable internal metrics, your daily routine, your data accuracy, and the sheer quality of your preparation. So what exactly happens when your confidence inevitably takes a hit? Enter the actor paradigm. You can't just sit around waiting for natural confidence to magically appear out of thin air. You have to act it. It turns out human neurobiology has this fascinating automatic linkage. Your brain actually releases chemicals based on your physical expression. If you force a calm pitch, keep your shoulders straight, and hold a controlled facial expression during a brutal client's escalation, your brain automatically shuts off the fear signals. It's like flipping a switch into executive leadership mode, generating the absolute perfect chemical balance of dopamine and adrenaline. All right, foundation is set. Let's move to Pillar 2, tactical execution. We're going to install the tactical algorithms that essentially automate your peak performance. Welcome to your mental simulation engine. Neuroscience actually proves that whether you physically perform an action or just intensely visualize it, the exact same neural pathways fire up in your brain. Wild, right? So before you step into that high-stakes B2B contract closing, find a quiet space for 10 minutes. Run the simulation. Vividly visualize yourself facing a brutal price objection, remaining completely cool and panic-free, and smoothly presenting the accurate data to close the deal. If you pre-run this execution loop 20 times in your mind, by the time the real event happens, your brain treats it as a flawlessly executed routine, not some terrifying new threat. And when you are staring down a massive, terrifying project, say rolling out a multi-state logistics operation, You absolutely must deploy what we call goal sizing. Elite performers don't get paralyzed by massive targets because they microscopically segment the structural load. Don't try to carry the whole weight at once. Map out just a single phase 1 validation milestone from your 90-day framework. By consistently hitting these micro targets, your brain doesn't get overwhelmed, and you end up building this incredibly automated habit of winning behavior. Now, to fully automate that winning behavior, you need to lock in anchor triggers. Think about Rafael Nadal precisely angling his water bottles on the tennis court. That isn't just some quirky superstition. It is a hardwired mechanical signal to his brain. You've got to establish your own customizable professional trigger routine. Maybe it's drinking 2 glasses of warm water, taking 5 deep breaths, and physically writing down one priority text in your notebook before you even pop open your laptop. This acts as a mechanical prelude that switches off anxiety and instantly activates your peak operational game mode. Next up is Pillar 3, the emotional shield. This is your mental firewall, designed specifically to protect your cognitive bandwidth during severe market turbulence and unexpected operational delays. When we experience fear, we all get those familiar butterflies in our stomach, right? Well, the anxiety versus activation matrix shows us that someone with an average mindset interprets this nervous system arousal as pure, unadulterated panic, which causes them to choke and collapse. But here is the secret, and this is huge. The biological engine of fear and excitement is exactly the same, literally identical. An elite performer mentally relabels those butterflies. They recognize that their biological system is simply activating, pumping adrenaline to prep them for absolute peak focus. You have to convert that anxiety into activation. As you scale your startup or push for that next corporate tier, you're going to face continuous rejections, application database drops, and painful operational delays. You cannot afford to have a Velcro mind where all that trauma and emotional baggage just sticks to you. You must develop a Teflon mindset. When leads fail to convert in your funnel, you've got to let the stress slip right off that Teflon shield. Extract only the analytical data you need to fix the process, but do not let the emotional tension stick to your psyche. Which brings us to the recovery index check. Grinding on tracking sheets for 24 hours straight without proper rest is a guaranteed way to completely crash your mental alertness. It's simple. Overtraining equals underperforming. You need to automate your neural cleanup by putting your mind into a zero stimulus mode after periods of deep focus. And you've got to feed your brain proper neuronutrition. We're talking walnuts, lots of water, and turmeric. Keep the sauce sharp, folks. Finally, Section 5, Ecosystem Deployment. Let's boot up these elite psychological metrics and deploy them directly into the realities of the Indian corporate and startup ecosystem.
So here is your ultimate architectural blueprint. Think about the chaotic, scattered mind for a second. It panics instantly during a crisis, relies purely on physical brute force for preparation, absorbs rejections like Velcro, and operates erratically. Now contrast that with the elite athlete framework we have just built together. The elite mind actively redirects adrenaline, pre-runs execution loops through intense mental simulation, deploys Teflon performance to let stress slide off, and anchors its state with fixed mechanical triggers. It's a night and day difference. To actually execute this in the real world, you've got to apply these actionable directives to your teams today. First, force visual simulation windows. Before your tech leads launch a massive CRM integration, mandate a 5-minute dynamic visualization check of data parameters to drop execution errors to absolute zero. Second, reduce the intellectual load on your data managers. Standardize baseline formulas, like explicitly embedding strict 5% GST computations directly into your cell algorithms so you save your team's precious cerebral stamina for true accuracy. And third, for those handling organic social media marketing, stop crying over algorithm fluctuations. Set up bi-weekly mirror test metrics to standardize team compliance guidelines. When your internal input metrics are rock solid, your output naturally stabilizes. I'm going to leave you with this final thought to really ponder as you step back into your high-pressure battlefields. Success is not a gift of physical layouts or having the shiniest external tools. It is the direct outcome of your internal mental condition. If you master your hard skills but leave your mind weak and reactive, you are going to fall behind. You have to face the mirror, decouple emotionally from external chaos, and use activation as your fuel. So what's it going to be? Will you leave your mind as a reactive vulnerability, or will you engineer it into an impenetrable execution fortress? Upgrade your engine and keep training at the Mind Gym.